Yeah. I got to meet him for the first time this week. Yeah, tell him like it is. Like it is. Yes, sir.
We often hear about the economy. Some of us that takes secondary role in social issues. Where do you stand on issues of abortion and gay marriage?
Oh, good. I'm glad you asked that. Those are very, very important to me. I'm 100% pro-life. I've always had a 100% pro-life voting record. I've been endorsed by Missouri Right to Life, Missouri's United for Life, so 100% pro-life. And I was asked in 2004 to be the spokesperson for the Coalition to Protect Marriage in Missouri, which was the statewide campaign to pass our amendment here in Missouri, and ended up helping to organize and run the campaign. And so I was at the lead of that issue, and of course we passed that with 71%. So that's very, very important to me that we have marriage between a man and a woman, and uphold our Christian values and beliefs. And then our country are under attack. Thanks for asking. Yes, sir.
Well, we had a thorny social issue going on with our southern border. We had a lot of illegal aliens, and some have been here for a very long time. They are a part of our society now, in fact. And the problem is that we can't seem to stop the flow. And we can't seem to decide on how we're going to deal with those that are already in this country. How would you approach it?
Well, it's a multi-step process, and the first step is to secure the border. You can't talk about sending people back or encouraging people to go back until you know that they're not going to come back in a couple of days. And we haven't had administration that's had the will and the backbone to do that. Congress passed a provision before that there should be a fence, and they passed it, but they haven't built very much. I don't know if the fence completely is the answer or what. I haven't seen all the terrain, but if they want to, if they have the will, you can secure the border. What we've got going on in Arizona is a travesty. You've got a state where people are being attacked, where people are dying, and an economic attack on them through their services and other problems, their jail systems. And you have a state having to take charge to protect their citizens, and then you have the federal government coming in and opposing them, and then suing them. That's lunacy. So we've got to secure the border first and support those states who are trying to protect their people and do the right thing. And then we can begin a discussion on enforcing the current law we have now. I've talked to several sheriffs in this district who tell me a very frustrating story of how they find a person there who is not here legally. And so they call INS, and INS says, well, we don't have to contact them, just let them go. And how would you like to be a sheriff? Trying to do your duty, follow the law, and not have the federal government back them up. So we need to do that. We need to make sure there's not as much incentive to be here. If employers were more closely monitored, make sure they weren't hiring people. There's lots of things that we could do, and then to begin a discussion on what you do with people that have been here for years and years, and talk about that. But first, we're going to start off with this other, and then begin a discussion on the hard stuff. Okay. Yes, Mike.
Yes, ma'am. One of the most important issues to me is cap and trade. Yeah. But unfortunately, I can't speak about cap and trade in the way that's proper in front of ladies. But I am looking forward to voting against Ike Skelton because he voted against my job. The one thing I would like to ask about is another thing that just boils my blood is when they take our money to use to build these larger projects, these large bridges and everything else, and whose name do they put on there? Their own name. They got their own campaign sign planted by our dollars. This is not proper in a democracy. And it doesn't matter who it is. We have the Ike Skelton Bridge here. What used to be the Paseo Bridge is now the Gun Bond Bridge. If you drive to West Virginia, you'd think it was named Robert Byrd. Brooklyn is now known as Charlie Rangel. You know. And you know, it's so funny because we don't allow living presidents to be on coin or a dollar, because we don't have set up kings. But what we have is these little kingdoms, where we have these people's names on bridges, names on buildings, and it's just saying, look what I did. Here we go. I took your money, kept some for myself, and gave you a little bridge, and put my big name on there. And I'd like to know if you would support and push other Republicans in Congress and everyone else say, we're not going to name things after living people anymore. We're going to take people, important people from history or anything, name it anything. The Holiday Bridge, or I don't care what it's called. I just don't want to see the Ike Skelton Bridge. I don't want to see the Kit Bond Bridge, even though I like him. I don't want to go to West Virginia and think it's named Robert Byrd. I'd love to see in Congress, but I don't even want to see a Vicky Hartzler Bridge.
The Honorable Vicky Hartzler. What is this? And I had to ask somebody, well, because you're state representative, And I just felt like I didn't like that at all, because I felt like the people that should be called the honorable are servicemen and women who serve their country. They're senior citizens who live their life and serve their community. They're single moms or widows who carry on with their kids and do the hard things. They're people like Mother Teresa who give their lives to the others for very little financial. Those are the people who deserve to get mail that says the honorable, not just because you're elected to office. You got to earn trust. You got to earn respect. It doesn't come through ballot box. So I agree. Well said. Thank you. Yes.
Piggybacking on that thought, I think one of the biggest problems in Washington, D.C. is the fact that agencies and entities